and leadership in the face of crisis. When terror struck, the employees of the Taj chose to protect their guests before themselves, showing extraordinary humanity, selflessness, and commitment to service. At Soil, we call this rising in love. The idea that true leadership is about rising above fear and leading with empathy and purpose. Today's conversation brings together three remarkable individuals who lived this story and shaped its legacy. We have with us Mr. Karambir Kang, who was the general manager of the Taj Mahal Palace, Mumbai during the 2611 attacks. His composure and commitment to service under unimaginable circumstances became a global symbol of leadership in crisis. Today, he serves as Area Director Americas at Taj Group IHCL and continues to embody the values that defined that night. We also have with us Mr. H.N. Srinivas, who at that time served as the head of human resources for Taj Hotels. He was instrumental in building a culture of empathy, trust, and service that gave rise to the extraordinary actions of the Taj employees. He now serves as a senior advisor, Taj Strive and Tata Skills Project, contributing to the Tata Group's purpose of nation building through skill development. And we also have with us Ms. Anjali Raina, Executive Director, Harvard Business School, India, and co-author of the Taj case study at Harvard. Through her work, she has brought the story of Taj's leadership to classrooms and organizations across the world, helping us understand how values, purpose, and love can be forces for sustainable leadership. We are truly honored to have all three of you with us today. Thank you for joining us. Before we begin, I would now like to invite Mr. Anil Sachdev, founder and chairman of Soil Institute of Management, to share his opening remarks. Anil sir has always inspired us to discover purpose, build character, and lead with love, the very essence of today's conversation. Sir, please.
Thank you very much. I will never forget those days in my entire life as long as I live. The cricket match with England had just got over and we were celebrating India's victory. And we suddenly got this news that there is an attack in Mumbai and the terrorists had entered the Taj. We had just finished a significant assignment with Taj Group helping the board to do succession planning. And we had gone through dialogue with every leader, including Karambir, on when they were at their best, what was their own dream for the Taj for the future, and so on. And as soon as we had finished this and given our report to the board, this attack took place. So, because we had this very deep love for the Taj and for the Tata Group, and I began my career with the Tata Group, so that whole night I could not sleep. Then I also got the news that Unilever's team is in the Taj. So I sent messages to Nitin Paranspe, Leena Nair, who were there with the global team inside the hotel. And I also sent messages to Karambir and to Raymond Bixson, and they all wrote back to me, please pray for the city of Mumbai. So all night I was praying along with my friends. I sent messages all over the world to my colleagues to pray. But I just didn't sleep a wink. And the earliest flight I could get in the morning, I went and HNS told me, come, we are all in the President Hotel. So I went and joined HNS and his team while Karambir and the team were inside the hotel. And we were all trying to ask ourselves, how can we be of service to the team in the Taj? And then I knew that Anjali lives very close to President Hotel. So I also invited Anjali, knowing that she's such a do-gooder, always interested in serving the well-being of all. So Anjali also came. I didn't understand that one day she will then write a case. My purpose was I knew she loved serving the citizens of Mumbai. And I said, come and join us and let's talk about how we can be of any assistance, if at all, to HNS and his team. So this is the context. We lived through what happened that day. But I don't want to talk about that because the main actors of the story are here. We are Karambir, who was right in the thick of it, is here. Maybe some point later, if I get a chance, I will share about my own personal reflection on what happened and why do I call it rising in love. But at the same time, I think now it's the time for us to bring the spotlight on the people right there, Karambir and HNS, who were right there. So over to the conversation with them.
Thank you. Thank you, Anil. Thank you for inviting us. I think it's a real honor and a privilege to be able to share some experiences of a time, which kind of has defined India as such, and what it stands for, Mumbai, what it stands for, Tatas and the Taj, what they stand for. So I think it was an extraordinary time, and we all were and are ordinary people who were thrown into that. It's just that we were lucky that we work for an organization that stands for much more than just profits or just enriching itself, which of course is the purpose of every organization. So I think it'll be an interesting conversation, and I look forward along with HNS and Anjali to share some thoughts about it. Over to you, HNS.
Well, I mean, directly diving into the context and the situation that emerged on 26th of November 2008. It was at about 9:45 in the evening. At 10 o'clock, I received a telephone call. I was in Delhi, mentioning that there has been some kind of a gang war going on, because they had not figured out that it is a well-planned terror attack by a neighboring enemy country. So some gang war is going on, and they're killing people indiscreetly, and there is chaos in the hotel. And I looked for the immediate next flight, and I landed in Bombay at about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then straight went to the hotel. To my surprise, when I reached the hotel, outskirts of the hotel, in front of the hotel, near Gateway of India, Mr. Krishna Kumar was standing, and he was expecting Ratan Tata. Ratan Tata had left just then. He was there all the time till about 12 o'clock, 12:30, and he had gone home, and he was expected back at about 5:30. And Karambir did not mention, which I'll mention about him. He was outside in a party in Land Center somewhere else. Am I right, Karambir?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
And when he heard about this, he spoke to his father, and he said there seems to be some major crisis and chaos in the hotel. And he said, see, his father is Lieutenant General Khan. He is from Indian Defense Forces. He said, you're the captain of the ship, and you should go back and try to do your best to rescue the situation, to handle the situation in the best way possible. This itself is a demonstration. I haven't heard a father telling his son, when he knows that there is a crisis inside the hotel and there are people holding machine guns, shooting people, or shooting others, and anybody who comes in their sight, go back and handle the situation. And he came back, I think, through the back door, and he was in his office by about 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock or whatever, maybe a little earlier. Now, all that we could do is to stand outside and watch this most horrible, painful spectacle of fire gushing out of windows from various floors, gunshot sounds, grenade blast sounds, and I'm deliberately using the word bodies, and injured people, bodies coming out of the hotel, and we are rushing those. We don't know whether they were alive or they're not alive, because they had several bullets in their body. They were being rushed to the hospital, and there was a damage control, quick action response that had to be done. And I telephoned a number of other security people, gathered them there, and this action was going on. And like Anil pointed out, Unilever Corporation had their global leadership meet happening in Gateway Room, and they had a dinner. And in fact, they had the meeting, and in the evening they had a cocktail dinner, and the dinner was progressing in the Gateway Room. It was being looked after by one girl called Mallika Jagat. She was a 23, 24-year-old management trainee. And so 2-3 days we had to bear with this without knowing exactly what's going on inside, excepting for some information coming and to us through this Lieutenant General Abhay Gupta, if I remember right, and he was handling the entire operation. And the Ratan Tata used to be there all the time. Most of the time he stood there. And on Saturday morning, that is 2 days later, terror attack happened on a Wednesday. Saturday morning, 9 o'clock, we were told we have killed all the terrorists. You can come inside. We went inside. The entire lobby was looking like a ravaged battlefield. Everything destroyed, torn, broken. Sofas were all dismantled and broken into pieces. And we were not allowed to go inside the hotel because they said they'll bring some sniffer dogs and they want to comb the entire hotel thoroughly. As we stood there, the entire media, both Indian, English, regional media, Hindi media, international media, there were about 100 people, who is who of all the media that we talk about today, they were all there. They were screaming for Ratan Tata to make a statement, what is called the holding statement. And Ratan Tata himself was saying, I don't know what has happened. And just now we are getting briefed about the current status. But then they discussed with all of us. And then that Major General Abhay Gupta said, you can make a statement and otherwise they will not spare you, they will all come inside. So he came out. Why I am narrating this story, I took 3-4 minutes, is because it reflects what he said standing on the footsteps of that foyer, that outside the lobby, porch area. I can never forget in my life. He went and stood there and he said, yes, they have hurt us, but they cannot beat us down. Within the next 1 month, less than a month, it will be business as usual, and we are going to open the hotel. Statement number one. Statement number two, I have asked my colleagues to form a trust, and I will undertake the relief and rehabilitation of all terror victims in the city of Mumbai. And one of my colleagues, senior colleagues, was standing next to him. I was standing on the other side, and that gentleman mentioned, we don't have the data as yet. HNS is in touch with the police headquarters, and they are yet to give us the complete data about how many deaths and how many injuries, because terror attack that day happened in about 7-8 locations. The worst attack was in Chhatrapati Shivaji Station, that is VT, Bori Bandar, Leopold Cafe, Nariman House, Oberoi Hotel, and Marine Drive, Kama Hospital. In a number of places it happened. So they were gathering, even police was gathering the data and information as to what is the accurate figure of deaths and also injuries and all that. So I still remember distinctly, Ratan Tata looked at him and said, so what are you trying to tell me? I mean, in other words, the suggestion to him was, we don't have the size of the risk we are getting into, and we don't have the numbers. We don't know exactly how much damage has been caused, how many deaths, how many injuries. And you're committing that we are going to undertake the relief and rehabilitation for the entire city of Mumbai. That was a kind of a indirect, hint to him. He understood that. He understood that and looked at all of us and said, do you know how much the city of Bombay has given us? Today they're in pain. In other words, if I can interpret that, see, we have received so much from the city of Mumbai, and city of Mumbai has been an integral part of Tata Group journey. All of you know, I'm sure Anil knows it even better. And we have received so much of contribution from city of Mumbai, and today they're in pain. There are, people who have been killed. Their families have been orphaned. They're struggling to recover. Is this the time that we should be counting the money? Whatever it takes, we should reach out and support the families and support them. So undertaking relief and rehabilitation for the terror victims is the primary duty, and we have to do it. This is my interpretation. He just said that in 2-3 words, that's all. And the third statement he made was, all the employees who have been working on that day, including a person who has worked only for 2 days as a casual employee, will come back to work and their salary will be protected. There will not be any job losses. They will all come back to work, wear uniforms, and start working in the company. And he looked at me and said, these announcements have to be made. Now, why I narrated this situation is, see, this is a reflection of the kind of value-based leadership that one, demonstrates. And there are a number of such instances that, you'll recall, which reflects on the leadership of the organization, the human values that he practiced, and the compassion and commitment, the empathy that he had for people who are suffering. There are a good number of examples. I'll stop here and I'll hand over to Anjali. As we continue the conversation, I think we can take it forward.
I think I would love to hear Karambir's
Sure.
story, because I think he was really right in the thick of it while we were outside.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Anil. So I was at Land's End. There was a event that was happening there where we were invited. In fact, we had Mr. Oberoi. He was being honored at an event there, and there was many other business leaders, and all of us were there when I received a call from from my F&B director saying, look, there's something going on. There are shots being fired. And I immediately, no one knew what was going on. My family was in the hotel at that time. My wife also frantically called saying, there's something going on in the hotel. So I said, look, just stay where you are. Don't get out. We'll get to the end of the situation. I immediately got into the car. I think it started around 9:45, and within an hour I was back. And on the journey back to the hotel, there was chaos all over the city. I could make out that there was police. There was a lot of stuff, especially on Marine Drive. When I reached, there were nakabandis everywhere. But we just went through, and I was getting calls from, I don't know, I must have got over 100 calls. What's going on? And I said, look, I don't know. I'm just on the way to the hotel. When I reached the hotel, the main porch, I just saw on the side, there were bellmen coming with carts of dead bodies, carting them out. And I just didn't know what was going on. And of course, what had happened was two terrorists came in from the front. Two terrorists came from the back. We had already closed the hotel. There was only one entrance, but they distracted. They threw a grenade and then got in. The other two shot through the back door and came in. And of course, their main purpose was to kill and create mayhem. There were over 3,000 people in the hotel that night. It was full. Banquet halls were full. Restaurants were full. I think we had 700 to 800 staff that day working at that time. And everyone in individual pockets. Sometimes I speak about this case with some leaders based in the US, and the first thing, the question asked is, if any such thing happened in your company, what would people do? And I think the first reaction is, they would run, because they know the way out. But at Taj Bombay, no one ran. In fact, people who had left came back knowing, oh, there's something going on, we need to help. And that is how it was. So one did not know exactly what was going on. There was hardly any police help. There were just 2-3 of them there, with bolt action guns, and they were clueless. Because at the same time, there were things happening all over the city. I guess there was, no one really knew the scale. It looked like the whole city is on fire. So the response was highly uncoordinated, but it was the way it is, and that's, So what we try to do is kept in touch with each other, trying to ensure. I mean, I went to the operators and I just said, look, call all the rooms wherever people are. We have a list, print it out, and tell everyone to, switch off their lights and don't watch the TV because it was being live streamed. And what we had heard is they were going room to room, seeing which were occupied and taking people prisoner or killing them. So that was the best that could be done at that time. So the operators were there till the morning, while attacks were going on. People were calling the hotel, but imagine they were there taking calls. Otherwise, it normally doesn't happen. And that happened in pockets all across. Restaurant managers would call and say, what should we do? So, I just said, switch off the lights and tell all your guests, put them in the back areas, take them into the kitchens, try and get them out as much as possible. I remember I'd just gone for a quick round just to the kitchens, and I saw they were, all the chefs were in a line trying to get people out from the chambers. And immediately, 5 minutes as I went to the lobby, terrorists were there and they killed, I think 7 or 8 of my chefs at that same spot. So it was total chaos. But yet, just I want to say that it's amazing that everyone was fearless in a way. Everyone knew what to do. They didn't have to be told that, this is what you need to do. They did it spontaneously all across. It was not that coordinated. We didn't know. But yet, there was a common strand, of courage, of selflessness. It was like, and often people ask, what really happened? Why did people not run? So, my response is, I truly feel that we all felt in Taj when we welcome people, we say, welcome to the Taj family. And it truly is a family, I mean, how do you define a family? Family is when the chips are down, you stand for each other. And that is exactly what happened, on that day. People thought their home was being attacked. So when your home is attacked, what do? You defend it. And that is what all of us felt, that, we have to defend it. And I think that really explains a lot of the actions of the Taj staff. And of course, there's a deeper, reason of how and why. Why do we all feel like that? It's, of course, to do with the culture of the organization, which is greater, and which is what I think it's an unwritten. Culture is unwritten. You can't write a culture, but it's what you see, it's what you feel, and we call it Tajness now. After that, this term was coined, and it's a global term now. So I think it's a time that was unprecedented. Each of us were ordinary people. I think each and every staff member was those who are not here with us, or those who lived through it are true heroes and ordinary people. But yet they rose with extraordinary courage to really, we were not trained. We didn't have guns. There were 4 people with grenades, with machine guns, with everything. By the time real help came, it was already too late, in the sense, by the time, from Delhi, we got the commandos. It was almost a day and a half later. And till then, these terrorists had a free hand. They could do whatever they want, and all we could do was just in pockets help people to get out. And it is surprising that, with 4 people with that intent, with 3,000 people in the hotel, it could have been hundreds of people who could be victims. But I guess we were able to, save as many as possible. And then, of course, what happened post this attack is again, legendary or unheard of what Mr. Tata did, and I think HNS has already spoken about it. And the thing about what HNS mentioned, my dad, yes, my mom and dad were in Bahrain at that time, and with my sister who's based there, and they were watching it all, and so that's when my father, I was like flustered, and my family was there, and they were trapped, and they could not get out. Unfortunately, they were on the top floor. They had set fire to that entire place, and there was no way to get there. We didn't know, and when I got to know that, because no one was answering the phone, and I spoke to my father and mother, that I just broke down. I said, what should I do? I don't know. So that's when my dad and mom both gave me the courage. My father said, yes, you are the captain of the ship. You should be the last one to leave. And my mother, she said, if you couldn't save them, go and save others. Be a true Sikh. So these words just gave me courage, and I said, okay, I have to continue. And we did that for till the hotel was handed over by the NSG to us, and so yeah, it's a very poignant time. It's very personal, but it happened, and rest, as they say, is history. It's been written about, and there is still no clear explanation, but I guess we can discuss that. But that's all I have to share about that incident right now. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say what I personally experienced before we invite Anjali to come and share.
Yeah.
HNS knew my sister lives in Chandigarh and her husband is a retired brigadier. So he told me, can you send them to your parents' place to break the news before the TV announces it, that your wife and children are no more? And they actually went there to your dad's place, but they came to know that your parents were actually out of
Country,
station.
yes. Right.
In any case, that evening when I and my colleague Shailendraji came and met you at Wellington Mews, and we just sat down after we gave you a hug, we sat down and there was complete silence for some time. Then your mother is the one who broke the silence and said to me, Anilji, may I share something with you? I said, yes, Mrs. Kang. And she said, when the terrorists were there, Karambir called us and he said, my part of me wants to go and protect my own wife and children, but the other part says, how can I do that? I have to be with my colleagues. I am the son of a soldier, and what your father said to you, you are the captain of the ship. I think your mother also said that you mentioned to her, I hope Vaheguru forgives me for this choice that I am, instead of running after my own family, I have chosen to be also with my colleagues. And that told me something completely different about you, your values, the way you were brought up, and what we were looking for, because we had just finished the talent appreciation process. In that, we had many competencies on leadership, but this competency of deep love or courage or higher purpose was not part of the framework. And, it's very interesting that that led to subsequently, when we did the same work for Tata Steel, this was incorporated into the leadership framework for Tata Steel then subsequently. So that was one aspect I wanted to share. The other part is when we came back to the President Hotel and we saw all the guests which had been evacuated and came there from the Taj, they told us a story about Thomas Verghese and how he and his staff formed a human chain around all the guests and helped them to escape, and how Thomas Verghese asked everyone to leave, and when he was the last person to leave, he was shot. And HNS, you told me the story about how next day Krishna Kumar and Ratan Tata met Mrs. Thomas Verghese and told her, ma'am, we didn't know that your husband was such a courageous person. And Mrs. Verghese said, even I didn't know my husband was courageous, All I know is that he deeply loved the Taj and he loved the people there. So that's why that night, before I went to sleep, I understood what my teacher, Swami Chinmayananda, had always told us. He said, when you deeply love what you do and you consider your work as a way of serving higher purpose and serving the well-being of others, and you have that seva bhav in your heart, which the Tajness that you talk about, then you rise in love. And that's something that I will never forget. How that day I really understood what rising in love means. That's why we call this rising in love. So I just wanted to share my own learning, which your experience deeply impacted me personally. And I'm sure Anjali, when she wrote the case, I'm sure that she was also deeply touched by what she experienced. So Anjali, over to you.
Thank you for this opportunity. After listening to Karambir and reliving those moments of crisis and listening to HNS talking about the leadership and compassion that Ratan Tata showed, I am going back to those days when I, as an ordinary citizen of Bombay, heard those shots, thought they were firecrackers celebrating the cricket match, and then realized that so many of my friends and relatives were trapped inside the Taj. But for the fact that there was a wedding, Bachi Karkaria's wedding, which went a bit late, I would have also been in the Taj because I had made a program to be there. And that is actually what the Taj symbolizes. A place for everybody to celebrate and to come together, for people from overseas, for people from different parts of the country, and also for the residents of Bombay. That is where we celebrate all our special moments. So when Professor Rohit Deshpande wrote in the Harvard Business Review article that Ordinary Heroes of the Taj, which I co-authored, the story of the Taj crisis is really about ordinary people showing extraordinary courage in moments of crisis. And of course, the most extraordinary example of this, living example, is Karambir. He led the rescue efforts even after losing his family. And his personal sacrifice for others is an extraordinary example of both courage and that compassion. Then you mentioned Mallika Jugad, who was only 24 years old. She kept guests calm, organized their safety, stayed until everyone was out. Thomas Verghese, who formed a human cordon around guests. Said they were not soldiers or trained rescuers. They were just ordinary hotel staff acting on instinct and in line with deep held values. So the question that Rohit was exploring, Professor Rohit Deshpande was exploring, was what caused this? What led to this? Is there something that other leaders or other companies can learn? And of course, there's a lot that can be unpacked from this, which HNS and Karambir and others helped us to uncover. But the big thing that I would like to share is that while the Taj crisis is the most visible example of the values of the Taj and the culture of the Taj in action, in my research, I saw that this was not an incident, but a pattern. The same spirit of courage and sacrifice was evident during the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, when staff at the Taj, Coral Reef and Exotica in the Maldives evacuated guests to higher ground, salvaged food and provided care until help arrived. That's another country. That's another type of hotel. It's not a city hotel, it's a resort. But it was a Taj property. And that was before the Taj crisis. There's another example. In 2009, when an earthquake hit Bhutan, the Taj Tashi employees, Taj Tashi was built only in 2008. So it was a new hotel. Again, Bhutan is a different country, but again, a Taj hotel. The Taj Tashi employees, at the risk of their own lives, brought out blankets and warm things because it was cold, and all these old guests who were there, invited VIP guests, had been evacuated and put on the ground And they went in and got blankets and all for them because the guests were feeling cold and they were worried that they would get exposure. So the fact that ordinary heroes, ordinary citizens could act like these heroes seems to be something that is present in some of the Taj properties before and after the Taj crisis incident, which, as I mentioned, is the most visible example and the most unbelievable example. But I'm sure I only know of the Taj Coral Reef because I was there. I only know of Taj Bhutan because my friend was there when the earthquake happened. The Taj crisis in Bombay, I lived through because I had so many friends who were there. And so thank you, Karambir, for your leadership. And thank you, HNS, for sharing how Ratan Tata's generosity was surprising even to his own colleagues in looking after everybody. He stretched himself, that purpose and mission. And you, Karambir, have been a living example, which I continue to revere and venerate. But the fact that this is a pattern and not just an isolated incident is also important for all of us here to reflect on.
Thank you, Anjali. Thank you for that. In fact, just one of the things I do remember, I think, HNS, you were there in that meeting where post all that, when it was presented as to what should the response be for the staff that are no more and their families, what should the response be for the rest of the city? And I think HNS and his team presented something, and I think Ratan Tata said, "Is this enough?" I think HNS, maybe you'd want to talk about that, but I mean, this was.
You may want to unmute. You may want to unmute, HNS. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would like to, at the cost of repetition, I'll just take 2-3 minutes to, put correct facts on the, before you. That Thomas Verghese incident, he was in Wasabi, he was a waiter in Wasabi, and the terrorists planned to throw RDX all along that, that narrow pathway, that leads one from one end to the other end, and both sides restaurants and shops are there. And they threw RDX, and it's extremely inflammable. It catches fire instantly, and there's a lot of fire, smoke, and I mean, one can't stand there even for 2 seconds. That's the kind of situation it creates, flames and all that. So they did that, and they went up till the end of the the corridor. And when they threw this RDX in Wasabi, there is a spiral staircase from Harbour Bar to Wasabi. So they all stood there, and after they left, Thomas Verghese said, "Let us form a human chain, let us form a cordon and rescue gather about 12, 13, 14 of them." He pushed them. It's all happening spontaneously. He's standing in the flames. He's pushing the guests on the spiral staircase and instructing them to go through the kitchen door. After the spiral staircase, when they come down, there's a kitchen door, and they go through, and he's instructing them to be somewhere near the banqueting area, laundry area. There is a room in the laundry, and he's telling his colleague, take them into that room and lock yourself inside the room. And after that, he's standing in the fire. He's standing in the, that flames and the smoke, sustaining burn injuries. And he's saying, all of you go, I'll be the last to go. When I heard this from an employee, when he said that he broke down and he started narrating this. Sir, he said, all of you go and I'll be the last to go. And whenever we remember that scene, we feel like banging our head and crying, what a man he was. And then as he was about to leave, terrorists come back and a spray of bullets in his body. The fellow who escaped at the last, he could see that Thomas Verghese is in a pool of blood, is fallen down. So they wanted to go and meet him at 3 o'clock. They were taken outside by the security. It was a winter evening, a late night. And they wanted to go and meet Thomas Verghese. They collected 2-3 employees and they said, we know the house. Police warned them, don't go. The city is full of terror attack, and it's not happened just here. It has happened in 6-7 other locations. We're gathering all the data. Don't go anywhere. But they said, no, we have just escaped death because of Thomas Verghese. We want to go and meet his wife and offer a gratitude and hug her and come back. And they did that. And they're then taken to President Hotel. Ratan Tata comes on the day when he wanted to meet all the terror victims' families at about 8:15. I don't know, Karambir, you were there?
Yeah,
I don't think Karambir was there that day.
I don't.
You were there, no?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Krishna Kumar and Ratan Tata were there, and Raman Bixel also there. And Thomas Verghese came. Thomas Verghese's cremation was his wife and 2 sons, and his mother had flown down from Kottayam or somewhere, and the entire family walked in and they sat. They were all crying, and this woman started. Sunu Verghese, his wife, she said, "We are not unhappy, sir. We are happy," and she's crying continuously. You called us and you're meeting us. It's such a great thing that. So let me tell you, he loved his job more than being here. In early morning when he gets up, he used to be so passionate, he used to be so involved in going back, and he loved and enjoyed his work, and he was willing to do any sacrifice for the sake of taking care of his guests and customers. So how he loved it, how he demonstrated that kind of total excitement and commitment to go back to work, always used to surprise us. So she said, if this is the value he has practiced, if this is what Taj has taught him, all that I need to do is to put up his portrait in my living room and instill that kind of values in my 2 sons. The last sentence when she said, everybody's eyes turned wet. She said, money comes and goes. It is the values that we practice and live for that is more important. I mean, a waiter's wife saying this. And as she left, all our eyes were wet. And no, there was a silence for almost 20-30 seconds. And then Ratan Tata broke the silence and looked at us and said, how do you explain this? And he lifted his hands and said, she stands like this. In other words, he was saying, she stands so tall in front of me. So it can't be explained as a outstanding service, world-class service. All these words, sound frivolous. So that is when he said, have you thought of doing something for all these terror victim families? I had expected this question, obviously. I had prepared a big statement of all terror victims of our employee terror victims. And a detailed statement, in which I had included some 30 months salary to be given as an upfront death relief benefit, cash. Last tranche salary to be paid to the employee's family as long as the superannuation, the date of superannuation of the employee, and even after that if there is a need. Last tranche salary to be paid in full as a pension. Number 3, all the loans if he has taken, then he should be waived off. Number 4, his medicals completely should be taken care of separately by the company. Number 5, if the educational expenses should be taken care of by the company exclusively and separately up to the age of 25, up to his age of this post-graduation or whatever, even if in India or outside India, wherever, the entire expenses to be met by Tata and Taj. And number 6, if there is a person who can be employed in the family, who, if the breadwinner is dead, if somebody can be employed, that should be considered on a special merit, and that employment should be facilitated. Like this, I had listed about 10 things: appointment of a counselor and regular medical checkups, all that I had listed. And I handed over that list to Ratan Tata. And he glanced through that and without any reaction in his face, he passed it on to Krishna Kumar, KK. He just passed it on like this. And I was a little anxious because I thought maybe I've gone overboard or whatever. And then HR read, he should not think that, I'm trying to be very, very liberal. But after some time, after one more person came and he met them, and he used to tell them, see, accepting bringing back that great man to life, back to life, anything else I can do for you, please feel free to talk to me and we will do that for you. You are a part of my family. The family is in distress. We are all in distress. We will stand together. I will do anything that you ask for. I'll extend that facility to you. Now, after some time, he asked for that sheet. He took it in his hand and looked at me and said, well, I mean, this is routine. This much we have to do in any case. Can't we do something more than this? See, these are all moments which you will never forget. This translates, this defines the value of a Tata Group and a Tata chairman and what he practiced. That's why when Dr. Rohit Deshpande asked me when he met me, Anjali, how do you, exactly the same question, how do you explain this? How do you explain people are willing to lay down their life? There is another incident of a room boy, a bellboy, I've heard his name. He came down in the palace wing elevator. He opens up, and as soon as he comes out, he sees a person, a guest, in a pool of blood. And at a distance near the swimming pool, he sees the terrorist. He's standing there. And this guy is holding a trolley. He pushes the trolley and takes that guest onto the trolley. And that fellow is running to shoot him from the swimming pool area towards the elevator. But he takes the trolley and rushes towards the bell desk. And that person, I think it was a French guest, he was taken to the hospital and he survived. Now, what it takes for employees to demonstrate this kind of enormous commitment and a sense of belongingness and the family feeling, ownership. I said, see, if I tell you if we are doing some interesting work in HR department, that's why all this is happening. It sounds very silly and very immature and frivolous. I told him there is a demonstration of leadership of values in the last several decades. It is not just now, but in the last 50 years, 70 years, 80 years, even starting with our founder, Jamshedji Tata, Dorabji Tata, J.R.D. Tata, now Ratan Tata. They have lived these values. They have demonstrated this empathy. They have demonstrated that kindness and compassion towards employees. They have treated them as a part of our family. And that rubs off. That builds a very, very purpose-driven, unique culture of work in the organization. And that translates into outstanding performance, particularly with reference to a service industry. It translates into outstanding, world-beating service. I think that is the foundation. Of course, we did some good work in HR department in terms of sourcing, hiring, recruitment, induction, training, all this we have done. I mean, some unique work also we have done. But that is only 2% or 1%. 95% of what has happened is because of the leadership demonstration of senior people, and others have followed them. So this is what I wanted to recall and narrate that. And in the Unilever's thing, when these lights were switched off, like Karambe said, through telephone board, they were informed that they're all there inside. And that Mallika Jagat got a phone call saying that you switch off all the lights and use one or two candles to ensure that party goes on. She calls attention of all people. They are all CEOs of different Unilever, different countries, Unilever Corporation. She says, dear ladies and gentlemen, I call it to seek your attention. There seems to be a crisis in the hotel, and some miscreants have entered and they have opened fire, and there is some confusion. And I've been advised to switch off the lights and the party can continue. We can't open the door. I've been asked to lock the door from inside. Me, I'm Mallika Jagat. In my capacity, I'm the manager. I'll take care of you. You don't have to worry. They're all screaming, they're all so shaken. And also they're getting messages on the phone and all kinds of things happening. And they're asking her hundreds of questions. She said, thus far, this is the information I have. believe me, I'll do my level best to take you into a safer place and take you out. And at 3:30, she's taken them to the through the kitchen door and takes them at the back gate and President Hotel. Next day, the CEO of Unilever's Worldwide and Lina Nair, they both called me and they said, you should send this girl, Malika Jagat. We are continuing our leadership program in Central Hotel, Grand Central. We want to put her up on the stage and give her a standing ovation for the demonstration of extraordinary courage. We can't believe an employee can demonstrate this, that too, that she's a young girl, 24, 23, 24. And that happened in the evening.
HNS, in fact, sorry, just to add to what you said, in fact, she was, very calm and composed during that time. In fact, she also said, men one side, women the other side, and a lot of them were rescued through the ladders. They broke open the windows, and there again, she kind of let the ladies go first, old people first, and she was the last one to come out. In fact, talking about Unilever, Paul Polman, he was the chairman and CEO.
Right.
Next year, all of them came back to complete that dinner where they served all the staff. All of us were sitting, and Paul Polman and his team came and served all of the staff who were there dinner, the other way around. So, I think this goes to show that I think the whole incident has touched, organizations like Unilever and shaped them as well. Yeah. So I just wanted to,
And to continue the Malika story, when I asked her, I said, how did you manage to keep them all calm? Because, there were many senior people, but their wives were also there and, they were worried about their children. So Malika said, there was a lot of alcohol that helped. So, she kept her sense of humor. She had a twinkle in her eye when she said that. It was quite extraordinary. And there was a friend of mine who was not with the Leavers crowd, but who was in the cafe. The harbor, not harbor bar, but above the harbor bar we have the
Wasabi.
No, the
Shamiana.
Wasabi.
No.
On the first floor, very famous. How can I forget the name? The most famous
Lounge.
Yeah.
Sea Lounge.
Sea Lounge. She was at the Sea Lounge with her husband, and they were moved, I think, into the chambers, and not into the chambers, into the room with the Leavers crowd. And she was also one of the people who climbed out of the window, and she also described the fact that they were told, put the phones on silent, separate, don't sit with each other, and the instructions that were given. So I think the fact that at this moment of crisis, very ordinary people were able to do such quick thinking and execute such calm leadership is also absolutely awesome. And it's a tribute to your recruitment, HNS, because you recruit, when you have good recruitment policies, you recruit for these values. That is also a powerful thing. And we can talk about the recruitment, but I think in addition, many, many years ago when I was with Grinlays, and at that time, V.S. Mahesh actually showed us the Service Excellence Program. And he ran the Service Excellence Program for all the Grinlays employees. And I feel that some of the distillation of the processes of these values and the service is also very important. It's not only about the recruitment, it's also about, in many ways, the training. It cannot explain everything, because how can a new hotel like Taj, Thimphu do it? New employees, some of your people who demonstrated this extraordinary courage were very new. They were interns. But that continuous service excellence training, I think, also has some part to play in making institutionalizing the values across everybody. That's just an observation as a researcher, not as you see it everywhere.
You're correct. You're absolutely right. And V.S. Mahesh has been some kind of a guru for all of us. He led this service management transformation in Taj way back in 1984, 85. Since then, he is a missionary. He was looking at new models of excellence in service management, and he traveled across the world. He brought some interesting case studies of SAS Airlines, and he brought two trainers, Ron Zemke and Carl Albert, those days I'm saying, and then how to build service excellence as a culture within the organization. And he did some pioneering work, I would say, for the country. He did enormous amount of interesting work. I'll just give you one example, not more than a minute. In how does that translate into outstanding service, that is differentiating quality of service, where you offer a strong enough reasons for customers to do business with you and consciously reject competition offerings. What is that? So there was this room boy in President Hotel. I remember that was in the 1980s, 86, 87, 88, one of those years. And there's a Motorola vice president who was staying in the room, and he had an injury with his leg. He was supporting himself on a walking stick. And apparently, he's a long-staying guest. One day, he went out for a party and walking stick wherever he was, and he just forgot to pick it up. So he comes back, and the next day morning, one of these rural recruits from Ratnagiri, one young room boy who goes into his room, and he notices the guest mumbling to himself that he has misplaced the walking stick, and he helps him to reach the restroom. He is limping, and he holds him and helps him to reach the restroom and requests him, "Can you give me 10 minutes time, sir? I'll come back if you don't mind." So, okay, carry on. So this fellow rushes to the back area, takes a mop stick and goes to the carpenter and requests the carpenter, not taking anybody's permission, authority, his approval, nothing. And the mop stick is cut into a makeshift walking stick, and he comes back in a neat 10, 12, 15 minutes and says, "Sir, this is from Taj Hotels for you." And the guest is blown, he's surprised. "I didn't even ask you. How did you know this?" He said, "Sir, your guest is like God for us, sir. I've been cleaning this room for a long time. I know where you keep your walking stick. Apparently, it's not there. So it's my duty to bring one and give it to you." So this kind of a DNA, this may look like a small incident, but this service approach, this empowerment for people to take charge, to please the guest, and reach out to him in a manner that it makes him feel, wow, this is Taj. Only Taj can do this kind of. There are any number of such examples. So we kept sharing this, and this kind of incidents used to be put up on the notice board, bouquets and brickbats. We used to display this every day in all Taj hotels, 110, 120 those days. Now it's almost 300. We used to display that and mention the names of people. But whenever there was there is a negative incident, we will not mention the name of the hotel or the people, and we say such an incident has happened, which is a lesson for us. This, in a similar situation, next time this is the way we should. So that some of these small things that we did helped in instilling a sense of empowerment to reach out to guests at any cost and help him. And we are here to dazzle and delight the guest was a philosophy that was followed by all employees. And I agree, Mahesh, it played a very central role.
I think this is a time we should throw it open to our students, who are the main sort of audience for this, who are trying to learn about employee engagement, and our faculty members, Dakshita and Shreya, who are doing this. So is that how you want to do it now, Dakshita?
Yes. So thank you so much for your reflections. And we will now open the floor for questions and interaction. For those joining on Zoom, please feel free to raise your hand or share your question in the chat box. Our team will invite you to unmute and interact directly with the speakers. And for those watching on YouTube Live, you can post your questions in the comments section. We will do our best to bring some of those in the discussion. So please raise your hand or put your question in the chat box. Yes, Nivedita, please go ahead.
So my question is to Anjali ma'am, that were there any stories or moments during your research that moved you deeply but didn't make it to the final version?
Nivedita, there were many stories, and it was difficult to incorporate everything. But I think the ones that we tried to add them all in. The story of the bellboy, we included the video of that. The story of Malika, the story of Thomas Verghese, the story of some of the stories of the people who formed a human shield outside the chambers when people were trying to leave. Those were left out. There were some.
Yes, Rahul, please go ahead.
Good evening to everyone present here. Your stories were really amazing. It really shared a lot to us. My question is to HNS, sir. As you told us that you would credit your recruitment, your training, and everything, maybe 2% to how the Taj employees are. You guys are doing something right. Even in the Bhutan situation, it was a very new institution that was set up, but still those values and morals were attached to these people. How exactly does Taj bring this upon their employees?
See, one foundational statement, in HR as a credo we followed was hire employees for values and train them in skills. Hire them for values, human values, ethical values, and train them in skills. Now, where do you find them? So there is what is called now these days we use the word strategic sourcing. Let me use that cliche. So we looked at the kind of people we're hiring from the city and selection process and all that. Then we realized if we are looking for people with values, we need to go to interior parts of India. See, a lot of human resource HR is done at home when the child is growing up, and in the school, the value inculcation happens in the school, in the college. 50% of HR happens to that employee there, to that person. Now, what human resources should do as inculcating values and all that would have significantly happened to him. If you go to interior parts of India, small towns, and look at schools which are known for good teaching and training standards and discipline, good education, good values, you go to any small town, Ratnagiri or Chipron, these are the places we used to go, Karwar and Hubli. Ask local people which is the school known for values, known for strict education, discipline, and respect for elders, respect for seniors, and this kind of thing. And employees who volunteer, students who volunteer, participate in some social service activities. We go to such schools, we select some 30, 40 schools, we used to visit those schools and take the reference verification from the principal or the bishop. It could be a Ramakrishna mission school, it could be a convent, St. Joseph school, and that father who is running the school, he will tell us, see, these 2-3 boys and this girl, they come from poor families, but they are extremely energetic, they are committed, they have the right values, and they take part in all the social service activities we undertake in the school. So if you tell them, see, after the SSC, they will drift into all kinds of odd jobs due to reasons of poverty, and they can't continue their education. If you give them a career, if you take them, train them, make employees in a Tata company, Taj Hotel, I was telling them in 10 years, we'll make you managers in a Tata company. And most of them did not know English language very well. And I never held a student from an interior part of India not knowing English against them. I never did that, because it's a foreign language. And if we can train them in English, communication English. So we used to recruit such boys and girls, bring them to a faraway city like a Bangalore, Chennai, or Bombay or Delhi, and put them through systematic training, give them dormitory accommodation, put them through thorough professional training in hospitality and hotel management, which meets international standards. We had 4 buckets. One is technical training. The other one is profile, personality, his own grooming, including eye contact, the way he walks, the way he relates to people when he sees them in the lobby. So all that. And then customer handling and soft skills, interpersonal skills, teamwork, related skills, communication, English language, the whole thing. Say 6 months training, 1-2 hours every day soft skills training was a part of the entire program. So you would be surprised. We had hired, I still remember distinctly, we had hired from a village, interior place near Hubli, in the outskirts from a village, one barber's daughter. Her father was a barber in a village. She came and she stood as a passing out thing. We will ask them to speak for a minute in English. She spoke. And then the general managers who were sitting watching her, they asked her, "What do you want to do in your life?" "I will continue my service in Taj for 5 years only, sir. After that, I'll set up my own bakery. I'll independently set up later on a hotel of my own." Can you believe if there is proper guidance and training, the talent will. So these are the kind of people we hired, we trained, we utilized, we put them in frontline people, enormous empowerment. We had told them that you should act as customer agents, not as hotel employees. I think that is quoted in the Harvard case study also. For a second, you think that you are representing the customer and his problems to the hotel, and not hotel. Customer has some unique requirements. You present that to, you think like that and present it to the colleagues and others to resolve the problem.
Two more hands are up, and I'm sure there'll be more hands in the future. So Harshit Chaubey, you want to go next? Yeah. Harshit Chaubey, please unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. It's an honor to have you, all of us, just giving us a highlight of whatever has happened with you guys. Sir, it has been shown to us that compassion has been there in Taj since a very long time. It's not about only 2004 tsunami. It's not about the 26/11 attacks, but in the recent time, in the COVID era, it has also in that time also that we have seen that Taj has helped people, doctors, and the society in a way that it has motivated all of us. My question to Mr. Karamveer is that in a scenario where every person is trying to save themselves, where people think that this is not my job, how did you find that this is going to be your responsibility? And what was the spirit of you and your frontline workers? And just a compliment to you that you have truly meant what your name is.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate. So, as we've spoken about this particular case, that we truly feel that we truly felt that we were one family. When we say, that's when during the induction, the first slide that we used to show is "Welcome to the Taj family," and it's loosely used word by a lot of organizations. We are a big family, but when it comes down to the chips, I've been now working in the US for 14 years. Here the companies are, they say family, they write all fancy words, but tomorrow if there's an issue, you're just given a pink slip and 2 weeks pay, and that's it, you're out. Which is the way the business is done here. But as has been demonstrated by Taj and by the Tata Group, in terms of the response to this, where so much was done and is still being done, including COVID. In fact, let me tell you, during COVID, Taj is one of the few organizations where none of the managers were laid off. None of the staff were laid off. And they kept being paid. In fact, the senior management took pay cuts so that we could, take care of people down the line. And now it's emerged a much stronger, organization more than that. So the thing that I'm getting to is that I think certain organizations that have a deeper purpose, certain organizations that have a soul, I feel truly that the Tata Group is a group with soul. It's a Tata Group and the Taj, where it's a company with a deeper purpose than just profits or share prices or your valuation. I think it stands for something much deeper. So when you work for a company which works for I would say superordinate goal. There are ordinate goals which are profits, growth, blah blah. But there's also a superordinate goal which when you read the statement of what the Tata stand for, you'll find it there. So I think that seeps into when you understand that and you're able to share that with all your colleagues, it does bring a deeper sense of commitment. And I feel that is when all of you unite and you say you rise in love, and do things which are unexpected. So I mean that's my take. I don't know if I'm being able to answer your question directly, but that's what I feel.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, Anil.
Animuk?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm surely, I believe on the fact that we all are moved by all your insights real time. So my question is to Karamveer sir again. So the ethos that Taj stands for has been surely reflected in the employees, like from the ground level. So I want to know that this selflessness, act of compassion, this deep care and unconditional love that they have showcased, like how did this experience change your perspective on leadership and responsibility?
I think there are all of us, I think, have incidents in our life which are like inflection points, where which just change the trajectory of your life forever. And for me, of course, this particular incident was one of them, where you can say one moment I could say I had the best hotel job in the world or in India, and I thought I had everything, and the next moment it was all gone. So I think what I'd like to say, and some of my learnings, maybe this is the time where I could maybe give a little share some thoughts. Is I think overall all of us should strive, especially all you young students who will be the future leaders of companies and of the world, hopefully. There's a word which is very loosely used these days, authentic leadership. But what does it mean? Look up to, for example, Ratan Tata. I mean, he's truly an authentic leader, and it kind of flew down. So what does it mean? To me, I think it means be vulnerable. If you can be vulnerable, and when you don't know, you say you don't know. Be human. Companies are made of human beings. While we tend to think it's just profits, this and that, but companies are human. It's run by humans. So be human, be vulnerable. To me, I think that is authentic leadership in whatever little sphere that you are. And again, if you are lucky enough to work for companies which have a higher, deeper purpose, I think it's amazing. And I think some other thoughts that I may want to maybe just share is that, when chips are down and, and it happens to all of us, where things look hopeless, I think while you can get help from outside, I think you have to look within. Each one of you are way stronger than you think you are. I think that's what I'd like to say, that look within. You are way, way stronger than you think you are, and you can surprise yourself. So I think that's the first place to look. As they say, God helps those who help themselves. And my maybe another comment, which may not be, anything to do with management jargon, but, life goes only one way, which is forward, and life takes from you. It takes from all of us. but we all have a choice, you know. The choices you can take back from life. So do that. When life takes from you, you have a choice, take back and live it fully. So, you know, these are just some thoughts which I thought, which I'd like to share with all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Rahul, do you have a follow-up question? Rahul, do you have a follow-up question? Would you like to unmute?
Yes. Actually, my question was to Mr. Karambir. Sir, right now, I might be wrong, but you're looking to expand Taj into the US markets, right? You're looking at expanding Taj. How exactly are you positioning Taj over there? Because their culture, their tradition, everything must be different than ours.
So, no, we had 3 hotels here when I came, and now we have 2. So overall, in, you know, the way the company is growing, at the moment, you know, we've more than doubled or tripled in size in the last 6 to 7 years. But given the global circumstances, we are looking at growing more where we are strong, which is in India, in the Indian subcontinent. We are looking to grow more in the Middle East, Far East, and even in Europe. We'll be opening a couple of new hotels in Europe, and we already have 2 in London. At the moment, in the US, it's going to be very opportunistic growth because the market here is very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, every company has limited resources. So you would rather put it where your returns are maximum and guard your you know, areas where you're very strong in. So at the moment, I think the focus of the company is to grow furiously in India and in the Indian subcontinent. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am, my next question is to you and to HNS, sir. Based purely on the research that you've done, can this model be incorporated in other domains as well, not just hospitality? Because here we have to look at something like empathy or emotional intelligence. So if I try to put that, if we try to use the same concept of, you know, hiring and training in another domain, is it possible? Is it feasible? Anjali ma'am, this is purely for mainly for you first, because I want to know on research basis, is this like, has this been done before anywhere else? Do we have?
That's the whole point of the Taj crisis case, that it was such an extraordinary company and such an extraordinary example of leadership. Then what was it if you try and unpack it? And as HNS said, some of it is recruitment, some of it is a service excellence culture. And as Karambir says, it's part of being of a superordinate goal and of the individual leaders who are stretching themselves to take it further. So yes, the whole idea of looking at it and unpacking it is to see whether this is something that can be replicated. And the question is really to all of you. Can any of you set up a hospitality chain, set up a bakery, as Karambir was, as HNS was talking about, set up a service culture, which can deliver this? And the opportunity that is available is, for example, now with artificial intelligence, we are replicating all the mundane jobs. But that human empathy and that humanness, as Karambir said, these are all, companies are human. Can you instill those human values? Is a challenge that is there for the younger generation, that is there for each one of you to take. I think the lesson that we have taken from Karambir's personal example is that if one individual can do this and show this type of leadership, is this something that can inspire others to do the same and instill those service excellence cultures, those recruitment options where you recruit for value, not for skills, where you do continuous training for skills so that you don't just leave it to chance. Yes, it can be done. But why has it not been done?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe because people don't have the superordinate goal. And that's why I would leave it to you to think that, you know, very often people say, oh, my company doesn't believe in this. My job doesn't give me this. I don't have much choice. I hear a lot of youngsters saying this. And I think that the choice is personal, as Karambir says. Life may take from you, but what can you take from life? If you can build your superordinate purpose into your role, my role over here at the Harvard Business School India Research Center is to write case studies which are taught in business schools, which can help businesses flourish for profit. But my superordinate goal is to write those stories from the Indian subcontinent, which can showcase this region as being a storehouse of innovation and solutions for global problems, which nobody else has come across. So you don't need, if you can identify your superordinate goal for yourself, you can create a company which can do this. And you have an example of the Tata Group and of the Taj Hotel specifically, and of Karambir as our everyday hero, and others in his team who did this, which you can learn from and instill. And that's what Anil is bringing, that he's helping you to unpack this so that you can do it. Has anybody else done it? Maybe, probably, possibly. I don't know. But you can do it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Nikki's hand was up. Is Nikki still around?
So, yes, sir, I'm here. A very good morning. Sorry, I'm really sorry. A very good evening to Karambir sir, HN sir, and Anjali ma'am. Well, it was really an honor to have. It's really an honor to have you all here. And when you guys were sharing your stories, I felt both. It felt like I felt a lot of emotions. To be honest, it was both heart-wrenching and brave of all of you to share this kind of stories. So the first question which I would like to ask is to Karambir sir. I want to ask that how did you hold your space for others' fear while facing your own? I think this can be an emotional question, so I would like you to answer this. And the other question which I have in my mind is for HN sir, like if you advise a young leader building teams today, how should they plant values that they can endure? Thank you.
Well, I think I'm not sure how to answer this question, but fear is natural. When you are faced with an unexpected situation and you don't know how to respond, and it happens, I guess, to all of us, there are all kinds of fear. Fear of what's going to happen, fear of the future, fear of the peer pressure, fear of so many things. But I think how to deal with it is a very individual choice. Sometimes, as I said, we are thrust into an extraordinary situation like all of us were during that time. It was an extraordinary situation and a fearful situation too. I mean, where you knew that you could be shot or blown away any moment. Yet, I think it is amazing and testament to my amazing colleagues that they overcame that fear, and just did what they thought is the right thing to do. And I think inherently as humans, we all know what's the right thing to do. And I think if you can listen to your inner voice, as I said, I think whenever in a moment like that, you have to look within first. Of course, you get clues and cues and help from well-meaning people outside, but in the end, you are all you have. So I would say you have to listen to your inner voice and do the right thing at that time, and I think that is what all of us did. We thought we are just given the limited knowledge of what was going on. We looked within and we thought we just did the right thing because that was the right thing to do.
That was helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, you asked me some clarification on.
Yeah, if you were to advise young leaders building teams today, how should they plant values that they endure?
First of all, we should believe for ourselves the depth, importance, and the unavoidableness, the imperative of practicing values. See, we should convince ourselves, see what defines you, what is your identity, what do you stand for, how do you want to be described. You see, if that is unchangeable within you, if you stick to some values, you may use the word values, you may use the word your own mission and your own character. You can use whatever words you want to use, something which is unchangeable within you and which is humanistic, which is ethical. You stick to that. If that becomes unchangeable, you will be able to face the tumultuous changes that are happening outside with a lot of courage. You should be able to identify them. I will not, shortchange people. I will not. You see, what are those values you define for yourself? What is your identity? Once you start, even if it is one or two values, which you will not compromise. I will never tell a lie. Even however unpleasant it is, I will present facts as they are. Maybe a value that you have. And that doesn't mean you should be politely, but you can't present the facts to present the truth. If that is a value that you pursue, I think it will support you. Nature conspires to help you. See, because you stand by something very ethical, very correct, and you are practicing it, and you will be able to manage a variety of change that happens in the external world, in business, and in society, in communities. See, you will get a different kind of halo and shine as a manager, as a leader. See, that is leadership.
Yeah. I think we have time for just one more question. So Ayushi Das's hand is up. So Ayushi, go ahead.
My question would be for Karanveer sir. So in today's world of automation and AI, what does human leadership truly mean to you after whatever you witnessed that night?
So I think, yes, that's a very interesting question, because going forward now, as you know, you can get all answers from ChatGPT to Perplexity to, Gemini. I mean, any issue you have, you put it right there. And it can give you, and that's the future. The fact is that AI is going to change things way more than we can even imagine right now. It will be all pervasive, because, and you can't change that, that's the way. But I think, as I said, it will take a long time for it to be human. You can't, for example, in our industry, a chef. I mean, I don't think AI is going to cook and in the kitchen and bring food. We will still need that human interaction. And I think as we go more and more towards this side, there will be a pushback towards genuine human interaction, and that will never go away, because I think that will be the true luxury. That will be the true differentiating point. While AI can, set the boundaries, it'll ensure that everything is flawless and it is done the way it is. But the game changer will still be authentic human experience, authentic human, conversations, and that is not going to change. That will take a long time for things to, for humans to totally not be there. So I just feel that that's going to be the game changer. That if you can have a blend and a balance of both, because automation, AI is coming. You cannot stop it, but how can you overlay it with a human experience which is authentic, which is vulnerable, which is, where you feel, yes, who I'm dealing with is a true human being. Otherwise, it's very easy to put policies and in AI will tell you as per the policy, this is what it is. But then you as a manager or you as a leader, that's where you come in. There are times when you have to maybe overrule that and say, no, we have to be human and give a human response to it. So I think it has to be a very delicate balance. And and that time is coming faster than we think it is.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
As we come to the end of this powerful and deeply moving session, I would like to thank Mr. Kang, Mr. Srinivas, and Ms. Raina for sharing their wisdom and their stories with us today. Your words remind us that leadership is not just about title or power, it's about courage, compassion, and conviction in the toughest moments. And finally, thank you, Anil sir, for your guidance and for always reminding us that values and leadership are inseparable. I would like to invite you, sir, for your closing thoughts.
There are 5 things I learned today in this session. I learned from Karambir that even though you have a wound in your heart which will be there permanently, you allow the blessings of the universal consciousness to enable you to get completely immersed in what you do and give the best of yourself to serve others. So thank you, Karambir. In HNS, I experienced the power of deep commitment, HNS, to whatever you have done all your life till today, and the way you gave credit to everyone else, including Mr. Ratan Tata, of course, and your entire team of putting the team in front. And Anjali, for the great gift you have of human kindness and goodness, coupled with your ability to source the real beautiful emotions into a story and articulating in a simple and yet very deep way. So thank you, Anjali, for doing that. But the most important aspect I learned is that for a long time, we were focusing on employee satisfaction. And then the conversation changed to employee engagement. It's very important for us to go beyond what so-called engagement means, because engagement has a selfish agenda. I want employees to be engaged so that they can contribute to the organization. I think what's important is to genuinely see how to tap into the potential of people and how to help them to rise to something which is far beyond what they think they are capable of. When they have the sense of purpose that many of the speakers talked about, and if the purpose is the higher purpose, and if it's connected to serving the well-being of all, I think that is like that highest form of servant leadership, the highest form of serving others, and the joy you get in that and the happiness you experience as a result in that. So it's high time the HR model was to go beyond the so-called engagement and to actually tap into human potential in a way which is very, very fresh. So people also speak to that. The last point I want to say is that the Taj story in some respect is a very old story. It is not just of the Taj or of the Tata Group. I saw a similar experience when I was new in Eicher, when a mob came to burn our factory. 5,000 people burned the factory next doors, Hitkari Potteries. 19 people died in police firing, and our union leaders in Eicher told all of us managers to sit inside the office, and they stood with lathis at the gate to protect the company, and they told the mob, you enter over our dead body. I have seen that in my own company in Eicher. It is the finest example, the only example of a plant in the whole of North India, along with Tata Steel, the only company which never had a single day of employee relations problems in its entire history. So in that sense, it's not a Tata story or a Taj story or even an Eicher story. Anytime people have that deep sense of ownership and they feel the organization belongs to us and it becomes a platform for expressing the highest in us, we do extraordinary work, and we always learn to source that deep inspiration and happiness in ourselves. So thank you very much. I think, Karambir, thank you very much for giving us with the generosity of your heart and spirit. Thank you, HNS, for always saying yes whenever we have asked you to share your story. And thank you, Anjali, for your deep love and support to whatever we do in soil. So, and thank you, students, for your genuine commitment to this story and for your very deep involvement into whatever you witnessed today. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.